Hey guys, Hector here. Have you ever wondered why you have slightly different credit scores on your different accounts? Shouldn't just be one? Or if you pay your balance early, can that boost your credit score? What about carrying a balance on your credit card to please the credit score overlords by letting them have some of your hard-earned money through interest? Does that really help your score? Well, we're gonna answer all those questions today. But before that, let me tell you why that is so important that you know this. For the past 5 years, my wife and I have been working really hard to build our perfect credit scores. And I have tried everything from getting 10 different lines of credit to even intentionally carrying balances on my card because at some point I heard that would boost my credit score. I even had to call the credit bureau once because I thought that I had unintentionally gone past my grace period. That was stressful, and I'll tell you all about it in just a second, but suffice to say, guys, I have made enough mistakes. But I'm glad to tell you that after 5 years of trial and error, we have finally achieved the coveted 800 credit score mark. Yes, 800 credit score mark. So I'm very excited for it because it's taken me quite a bit, but it doesn't have to take you that long. Because I want to share some of the tips and some of the myths, maybe debunk some of those myths and misinformation that is floating around the internet right now. So let's get started. Let me start from the beginning here because actively using your credit card and having your credit card issuer report your balance and on-time payments to the credit bureaus can actually help your credit score. In fact, that's how your credit score gets evaluated. But this is particularly good if you have a low credit utilization ratio. This is when you use only a small portion of your credit card credit limit. For instance, if you have a total credit limit of $10,000 across all your credit cards and you only utilize $1,000 a month, then your credit utilization is about 10%. Credit bureaus tend to like this because it's a signal of responsible spending, they say. However, you don't need to carry a balance from month to month to pay interest to see a positive effect on your credit score. And actually, this is the first myth that I want to debunk. I heard it and it was said to me that it will help my credit score because all the banks want is your money. And so when you pay interest over your balance, that helps banks. And it made sense to me, so I decided to try. So I decided to let some of the balance on several of my cards to carry over so that they would charge me some interest on some of them. But then the worst happened. I unintentionally let some of those balances carried over to almost past the 30-day grace period that a bank would give you. I thought I had gotten reported to the credit bureau, and so I ended up calling them. I was so stressed that I would mess up my otherwise perfect payment history. So no, carrying a balance on your credit cards to pay interest does not boost your credit score. So simply using your credit card regularly and paying your balance in full in time each month, that can boost your credit score. Just keep in mind that your credit utilization ratio plays a big role, and it depends on your credit limit and the balance as they appear in your credit report. Banks tend to report your card's credit limit and balance around the end of each statement period, which is often about 3 weeks before your bill is due. That means that even if you pay off your balance each month, your credit report might still show a credit utilization ratio that is above the desired 15% depending on when you make that payment. So what would be a good solution for that? Well, that's a good question. You know how we want to frequently use our credit cards to finance big purchases and then wait until the end of the month to pay it off? Well, what if I told you that by then it might be a little too late? Sure, you're not gonna get reported for a late payment because technically you are paying it in time, but it might be a little too late to report a healthy credit utilization ratio. So what I've learned and what I want you to learn from this part of the video is that the timing of your credit card reporting is key. Because credit card issuers usually report your balances at the end of each statement, which again is roughly 3 weeks before your bill is due. So if you make an effort to pay down your balances and bring them down below that 15% ratio before that happens, then the reports that are sent to those credit bureaus will be and look a lot better. So yeah, paying down your balances early can actually boost your credit score, just about the same way that a like to this video will boost my channel. Alright, and finally, let's talk about the different credit scores. We have slightly different credit scores all the time. Like if you go to the Discover site, then you'll find a slightly more generous credit score than if you go to your Wells Fargo portal. Well, you might have heard of the FICO score and the Vantage score. These are the main two companies that develop consumer credit score models. But what many people don't know is that the FICO and VantageScore have multiple versions of their credit scores. Each scoring model also scores one of your credit reports from either Experian, TransUnion, or Equifax, the three national consumer credit reporting companies. And it's common from your credit reports to have some differences, since creditors are not necessarily required to report accounts to all three bureaus, which could result in the same model generating different scores for each report. So yeah, you might in fact have dozens, if not hundreds of credit scores. Fortunately though, the actions that you take to improve on one credit score will also tend to improve all the scores, including the scores used to evaluate the credit worthiness when you buy a house. Which reminds me, by the way, that if you want to learn all about that, you can watch this video right here. Alright, so this is it for today, guys. I hope you liked, enjoyed, and learned something new from this video. If you did, would you do me a favor and support me by subscribing to the channel and hitting that like button for the YouTube algorithm? I'll see you next time. Bye!